Hello, everyone, and welcome. Yes, my name is ArrowFyre, and welcome to Let's Talk Transformers number 6. I am joined this evening by three lovely co-hosts. I have Brandon, Bayverse of Madness. I have Phil, Plastic Craic, and I have Andy from Transformers the Show, otherwise known as Crankcase 79. Without further ado, let's get on with the intro, the very, very loud intro. Brandon, that's your cue, mate.
Let's talk Transformers.
W.
And then we wait a bit because then no one can hear me talking afterwards. There's just a long, awkward pause, which Andy knows all too well. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on. Lovely to have you on. We've got a little bit of news to go over. Obviously, I'm not going to recant too much because Andy would have covered it on Transformers the Show last night. But we did have a couple of bits that I wanted to go over and get your opinions with, and some breaking news as of today. So we are going to start with this. Now, tell me for the love of God you can see this. Looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah, there it is.
All right. We have Magic Square, Masterpiece Scale, Brawl. I'm going to try and tab along at the same time here. This previously was in Legends form, and now they've decided to upscale it, which they have done before. Magic Square, they've done it with their Masterpiece figures, with their Light of Freedom, Light of Justice, Light of Freedom. I can't remember which is which, but it was their Legends Optimus Prime that they put up to MP scale, which I've still got them actually. And now they're doing it with the Combaticons. What is the verdict of this? How do we feel about Masterpiece Brawl?
I think it'll be light to hold. I think it'll be incredible because the Light of Peace is such a poseable figure. It's my favourite Prime in Masterpiece scale. So I've got no doubt it'll be a dream to pose and mess with. Whether the weight of it can sustain a combiner, I guess we'll have to see. But I think in bot mode, they'll all look absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's I've been very tempted to get the Legend scale of the set because I think it looks. I didn't download any photos of it, but I think Onslaught looks really clean. I think Brawl looks really good. I love the orange eyes on the go there. So to get it MP scale is great. This might be one that I just keep in individual mode because I've still got my Zeta Bruticus, and I still don't think that'll be topped, if I'm honest. I also don't know how big this is going to come. This is the awkward thing of how big does a Masterpiece scale go? Are we talking somewhat bigger than Chug? Are we going big Zeta scale? Who knows? Andy, any thoughts from you, your known third-party collector?
Well, as a massive third-party fan, as you know, this is my wheelhouse, clearly. I think it looks good. I think it looks definitely very cartoon-esque, and Brawl is one of my favourite Combaticons. So we commented on this a bit yesterday. I think it looks really good. Obviously, you guys as third-party collectors will know, build quality-wise and everything, what you think of it. But I like it. I like the look of it anyway. If I was a third-party collector, I think this would be on my list, my shopping list.
Definitely.
Cool. Okay, well, moving on to something, Andy, that you were tempted with and you had a bit of a view of last time. Pink Boy, Misfire.
Yeah.
So would you mind, sorry, I know it's not your night, as it were, but just to recount the points that you made, I don't think I can make them better myself. What are we dealing with here? Well, we got two versions of this from X-Transbots, haven't we?
Yeah. So the X-Transbots, obviously, we've seen these renders, haven't we, of Misfire. And the thing is, I'm, again, not really much of a third-party collector at all, but it's the fact that it's Misfire. So you've got I suppose, Toon version, which is the first pictures he showed. But then they're also doing a variant of it, which is going to have more of a toy aesthetic to it. And for me, that could be something that would actually tempt me to get into this, because Misfire was one I had as a kid. I love it. I love the daft pinkness of it. I remember buying it at the time, and I had to choose, from like you did back in the day in Wars. I had to choose one of these Target Masters because I only had enough money for one, and I went for the bright pink spaceship kind of thing. I just thought, yes, that's what I want to buy. So yeah, I'd be really tempted by this. Although there was some talk last night about the quality of these figures, which again, not my area of expertise, but you guys might be able to comment on that more.
Yeah, X-Transbots has known breakages, and I like to think they've gotten better, but my God, they have earned their reputation of being the more fragile out there. Phil, where do you stand on X-Transbots?
The hit and miss. I think sometimes the figures look incredible, but I've got somewhere I've tried to transform them as they came in car mode, and there's just the tiniest, thinnest little things you're having to manipulate and move around, and it's nail biting trying to transform them. Some of them look fantastic, but I think QC wise, they can be very hit and miss. So I'm always slightly wary. Plus, the X-Transbots pre-order list has been massive for the last year and a half, hasn't it? There's been a crazy amount of stuff in the pipeline from them. So if and when they get round to stuff, I guess. But I don't think I'd ever be put off buying them unless I saw reviews where there was obvious QC problems. But it's always a slight worry when handling X-Transbots that they are just going to have an arm shear off somewhere. But I think it's the risk you take sometimes with that company.
Brandon, have you had any experience with X-Transbots or breakages in third-party realms, or even mainline?
Yeah, third party is an absolute nightmare for breakages. They're definitely products that you need to handle well, because even though you can transform them, as Craic said, you can break them, you can fiddle about with them. I don't know. Sometimes they're really cool, but again, they're a pain to transform, etc. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with Phil with what you're saying, mate, is that the X-Transbots will throw out renders. So, Andy, I think you said it as well. They'll throw out renders for days. They've still got some of their Throttlebots Searchlight, isn't it? That's been up there for a long time, one that I'm tempted with, but you can render till the cows come home. You've got to actually put it on the shelf. Simple as that. So I've been crying out, though, for a masterpiece scale trigger happy, and I like to think we're one step closer with this. So like you, Andy, when it comes out, Misfire is great as anyone. So I've got to get it. Well, their last one, Big Load, that bloody name. They're yeah, get out your system. Yeah, their Constructicons was absolutely brilliant. Some people have said the best figure that X-Transbots have released. If it's like that, then great, no fears. But it can go wrong in an instant.
And Big Load was such a good figure. But then if you contrast that to their version of Cup, where the V1 release was an absolute disaster, and was it Omega Lock where they were sending people the replacements for free because it was so bad?
Yeah,
it was dreadful.
That was PR disaster, really. But, oh well, what can you say? But we have got two versions of this coming out. I'm actually more tempted with the toy version than the Toon one, even though I'm possibly more of a Toon guy. And I do like the detailing more on the toy deco. Just my preference. Right. Andy's brought this to my attention as of this morning. I'll tell the story on this. So TFC Toys, their Terracons, their Satan set, very, very stylized. Chug scaled-ish, or Chug Plus, as I like to call it, they're Terracons. And as you can see, all the ones coloured in are the four limbs that have been released, long released by this point. Now, I heard a rumour somewhat recently, very recently, that TFC Toys had gone bust and they were not going to finish this set and pre-orders were being stopped. And I thought, I've held on to this. I bought two of these off Ben's Collectibles before he went to Canada, well before. So, that's how long I've kind of sat on this set. I like them, but the choice I had was to complete this and get an Abominus. I'm going to have to get the Light Toys massive upgrade kit, which is a 3D printed chest for something like 280 quid for a bit of plastic just to make it hold together. And I was like, I'm done. I need the money. I don't need the space taken up, and there's no sense me having 4/5 of a combiner. No sooner did I have my sales post up on Facebook, Mr. Ride tagged me in something this morning and said, "You know that set you're selling? Yeah, they're actually finishing it." And
No.
this is what it looks like.
I just
So,
remember
I
you saying as well, though, that you were thinking of getting rid of them because you just weren't thinking, we're going to complete them. And then it was Bisto Yeti, who actually shared this
Bisto, yeah.
originally. It was his post that I saw, and straight away, it was like, isn't Ian selling this because he didn't think we were getting this? And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
big. It's big news, really, for everybody who's got one of these sets that's been waiting. Is that sales post still up there, Ian?
No, Christ, no, that came right down. that nosedive, mate. It was gone. I mean, I've still got this pre-ordered on Show Z for whatever good that did. And I thought, when I sell them, I'll cancel the pre-order. But I had a load of people like the post, but no one actually put in a bid. But I was getting notifications saying this post is your most interactive post on whatever for so long. I was like, oh yeah, they'll go. I was like, thank God they didn't sell, because could you imagine if I try to get these again?
Yeah, that's one of my issues with aftermarket prices with a lot of these products. You know, the twice or triple the amount that you would pay originally. There's nothing worse than that.
No, I think this is the first we've seen of even remotely close detailing of Abominus, by the way. We've only ever seen silhouettes to this point. All the pieces are out with their limbs and their hands. Now we know the guns all combine into one, which I'm a fan of, personally. I think it's a bit of a multicolored mess, but I like that it does that. So it's literally just going to be Hungar that's released. And I think Hungar actually looks quite good, just standing on his own. Hold on, I've got the images. There he is. Obviously not coloured in, but I like how he looks. Yeah, back from the dead. So that's cool for me. Any thoughts, Phil? Anything on that?
I think it looks fantastic. I know for a fact I don't have any room for it.
That's never stopped you before.
First 4 robots, but it does look really cool. I'm a fan of stylized stuff as well as the general G1. I like stuff which looks a bit weird and a bit unusual. So yeah, I think they look absolutely fantastic. So yeah. I'll be watching out for people's photos of that, and definitely for your photos eagerly once you get your hands on that. But I guess it'll live and die as a combine mode over how stable it is.
Well, yeah, there is a photo, if I just go to it, of something that Fans Toys Superior Can't do, which is a nice wide stance, which is worth nearly £1,000 of your money to fall to pieces. It stands with a wide stance, which is good, but it should do. It's considerably less plastic die-cast ratio, but it looks good. It looks safe as houses. I'm pleased. I am also massively relieved I did not sell the set like an absolute bellend. But yeah,
it does look really good.
It looks, yeah, I like it, and it's going to be a somewhat rare character. We don't have that many Abominus in mainline or otherwise. So yeah,
I'm very happy it exists. It looks awesome.
Aye. Okay, well, that was the only bits of news to go through because, as I say, the show covered a majority of them last night. How would you gentlemen feel to doing a bit of a general knowledge quiz?
God.
I thought you might say that. I actually didn't want to put that away. I see Andy looking down as well. I want no phones here.
Oh, I'm looking at the live chat. I'm just looking at the live chat. That's all.
Yeah. All right.
Looking for answers, are there?
I think your dad's in the live chat. There's somebody called Bayverse.
That is my father, and thank you very much for the kind donation. Yes, I'll quickly go in. It's not really the time to talk about it, but the channel is now monetized, thankfully. So there is a section for donations, which is effectively this is super chat if you're familiar. Thank you very much, Dad. Yes, in the Fire family. Yes, so thank you very much for any kind of donation of any kind. It means the world. I would play my little quiz intro, but I think Mr. Farrelly has deleted it. So, quiz. Right. So, first question is general knowledge. I was going to try and do something else, but I couldn't. So, first question, you shout out. There's 4 of them. So, hoping that the 4th is a tiebreaker. Please don't get one wrong and then one each, because then no one wins. So, question to you all, just shout out as and when you know the answer. In the film Revenge of the Fallen, who was the first Transformers character to be killed?
Sideways.
Ding, ding, ding. Well done.
Oh,
And he learned that.
I was literally about to
His
say that
eyelids.
as well. Damn you.
Were you?
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, when I thought of the question, I had to check it because I thought it was Demolisher, the big wheelie one. Do I mean Demolisher, Brandon?
Was
Big
he
two-
Yeah,
Demolisher or
but
Scavenger
that
at
rolls
that
on
point?
one wheel.
Yeah, that would have been the,
Yeah,
other,
yeah.
the other one I'd have gone for.
That would have been my one, but I had to, with the help of YouTube, go and find out. Yeah, well done. 1-0. Next question. It could be a quick and easy one. Which third-party company, sorry, Andy, which third-party company released the figure Puma?
Can I just guess?
Go. I think you better. I think you better.
Fans hobby. I don't know.
Fair enough. You can take multiple guesses because I don't think the others are throwing too much out.
Puma.
X-Transbots.
I can't
Puma.
think-
I'll give you a
Unique
hint.
Toys.
Puma. Yeah, just keep
Bang.
listing them.
I'm trying to think of
Puma
what ones I can think of.
is an IDW 6-shot.
I'll be MMC then.
MMC.
No, it's not.
Oh, that does make it more interesting. Who else has done them?
No one.
Oh, no. Planet X.
No, but nice guess.
I was just thinking of their Star Saber. Then what else there might be?
I'll get you for that one day.
Are we stumped?
It starts with G.
Is it-
Give up. That starts with G.
Yeah.
Generation Toys.
Yeah, it's close. G Creation.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't think Andy would have got that. But
No, I
wonder,
wouldn't have,
Phil, if we might. No.
No, I've got on
All right,
my
well,
record
with any
outline.
luck, you'll get this one. So, in a Generation 1 cartoon, sorry, Brandon, who said this line? Good point. He never knows when to quit. Come on,
This
Andrew.
isn't a very successful quiz. Like,
No, it's not, is it? I mean, to be fair, I don't want you getting
Never knows
everything
when to
right.
Quit.
Good
it's
point.
been-
He
I've
never knows.
not think. Damn. Is it Jazz?
No.
See, I was always more of a comic book guy.
That's what the line is if you can't remember. I always like the comic books.
Yeah, I read the comics more than watched the cartoon. A good point. He never
Think
knows
of
when
us-
to quit.
Think of a sort of a battle between Bruticus and Devastator.
Starscream.
No,
Mega-
blast off.
Blast off
you
was in
just
the
saw
chat.
Spider
Yeah.
Father's comment, didn't you?
I didn't
mean-
even look
I mean-
in the chat. Playing fair.
No, you didn't. All right.
Well
Well,
done,
yeah, dead end. Lee's got it right. Dead end.
That was dead end.
So because it's when the Stunticons come up and goes, it's Motor Master goes, Megatron's in trouble. It's like, who cares? It's like, well, do you think he'll stop here? And it's like, good point. He never knows when to quit. In his droll kind of way. So far, it's a really stellar quiz with 1-0 and 0. So I really hope no one gets this right or Brandon gets this right because then we have an inconclusive result. But
Go on,
we'll see
Brandon.
how it goes.
Come on, Brandon.
Final question then. 'cause
No
just 'cause it's
pressure.
here- And as one man said, he's more of a comic guy. In the IDW comics, who did Optimus Prime hand two pieces of the Matrix to? Matrix is split in half. He handed it to two people. Who did he hand it to?
I'm trying to let Brandon guess first. Go on,
Man,
Brandon.
I'm just
Come on,
getting.
Yeah, you're just going to Google.
Whoever, wait, no. Transformers
Honestly,
the
it's
show.
like one of my list, and I still haven't read the IDW run. And
Oh, have a guess. Have a guess. Who
Would
might
one
want-
be-
But you know the
Ultra
answer, don't you,
Magnus?
Andy?
You know what? I don't think I do. I was
What did you
Rodimus,
say, Magnus?
Rodimus and Bumblebee.
Well Googled, yes. Put ding ding ding.
Do you know what? Well done, Phil. That was good.
I would
remember
have,
Wait, yeah, I
Bumblebee,
didn't
but I
Google
couldn't
it.
remember Rodimus. But of course, he did have it, didn't he? When he
with
went
the
off on
assist
those
from
fights.
Lee in the chat. I mean, I would have accepted Hot Rod. I wouldn't have split hairs. So we have an inconclusive winner with 1-1 and 0. Andy, thank you for turning up.
It's
So
all
there
right,
we
I
go.
was here.
Brandon
I
was the
was
witness, he
here.
actually knew an answer.
Yeah.
I tried to tailor this to all of you in one form or another. And I thought when Brandon answered the first question in like 3 seconds, I thought, yes, we're on a flyer here. But the third party G creation one was a wind of death. Never mind.
I almost got that sideways one as well. I'm gutted.
Oh,
Could have
I
been
do you know
me.
what, that would
Could
have
have
been.
been me, Brandon. Anyway, never mind.
But you wouldn't have done that, would you? You're a nice guy, Andy. Right. So, on to somewhat of a somber topic, but for our first topic of the evening, I'm just curious because I thought a bit earlier. Go around the table. What's the most thing? How can I put this? For you guys, what is the most annoying thing about Transformers? What do you, of our beloved fandom that we stuck with for 40 years, well, some of us, what do you say, I really don't like that? Be it toys, be it storyline, be it comic, be it whatever, marketing, films, what really grinds your gears?
Okay. It's nothing. I mean, I guess it's to do with the fan base, and at TFN you saw what a sort of amazing, inclusive and diverse, brilliant community that we've got. But if you kind of take the internet and Twitter and places like that, I'd say that for people who are fans of something called Transformers, there's a large group of people who are quite resistant to change, which is
Sorry, that's not to you, Phil. No, it was to Pete. Carry on.
yeah, quite resistant to change. So you saw a lot of the flack that Earthspark got when it was generally trying to do something new and fresh, and then that
Absolutely.
looks like it's not going to make a third season because of people who are complaining that it's not the specific Transformers that they want, when actually we have to have shows which cater for children, or else nothing grows and people don't come into the fandom and it dies. I think that people who are resistant to change, ironically, that annoys me because I love all aspects of Transformers. You know, I love the movie designs, a lot of them, animated, G1, and I just think it's such a brilliant and diverse community that I think some people are quite set in their ways for what they want to see from it. So I think that is what grinds my gears the most.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Brandon, what grinds?
Oh, sorry. Go on. No. Sorry.
No, Andy, you can go next.
I would have gone with something similar because I was going to say gatekeeping. I was going to say the people who don't. The people who have to go at other people for what they like or what they don't know, and it's just ridiculous because, you know, as much as a lot of us, a lot of the time we think this fandom belongs to us, of course it doesn't. And then, as Phil said, TFN is a fantastic example of the diversity within the fandom and the fact that we can all come together there, and everybody likes whatever they like, different backgrounds and everything, but you can all just kind of get together and just talk about Transformers and your love of this franchise, I suppose, this toy line that's gone on for so many years, and it's daft. I mean, you get it. I fully hold my hands up at my age. You get it with G1ers who just don't want anything that isn't G1, and that's ridiculous. But you see it in lots of other things, like Phil said, you know, the reaction to Transformers Animated when that came out, Earthspark recently, which, you know, is actually in many ways a really good cartoon, but people just won't give it the time of day because they have their own preconceptions about what it should be, and that annoys me a little bit when people won't be open to anything new because it's not the way that they exactly think it should be, and so automatically it becomes terrible, or they just want to have a go at it or tear it down. So,
do you remember when everyone kicked off about there being a character called Hashtag? And they were like, "Oh, Hashtag, it's such a stupid name." And I'm thinking, in the 80s, they had a character called Blaster who turned into Ghetto Blaster.
I mean,
exactly the same.
This is it. It was such a strange thing to turn on and to have a go at them for, really. You know, it was that just part of that reaction that unfortunately some people had to the series. So that would be a big one for me. I have a controversial one, if that helps, which I can chuck out there, which is, I think that one of the best and worst things to happen to Transformer toys was ball joints, because the amount of figures I bought with really loose ball joints that annoys the life out of me. And I know they can be fixed, but it drives me mad when you've got a figure and it just won't stand up, and, you know, the legs and As an old school G1er, I always remember my toys being very sturdy back in the 80s, and that wasn't really an issue. But obviously,
That's because they had the articulation of a brick.
exactly, the way it should be. You don't need them to move much. But it is. It's one of those things. It's brilliant. If you've got one that's got great articulation and the joints are tight, that's fantastic. But when you get them and they're loose, it can ruin a figure for me. Absolutely ruin a figure. But that's less of a complaint than the gatekeeping.
That's fair. Go on, Brandon. Stage is yours.
I think one of the things that annoys me a lot recently, and again, I agree with what the other two said. I enjoy all aspects of Transformers, but I think there's one thing that is a little nitpick, and that's the way that Hasbro kind of market the movie toy lines now for the upcoming movies, where they basically release the Studio Series toy lines first for that movie, and then later on release the main line for that movie. So, for example, for Rise of the Beasts, we had the Studio Series Cheetah, which was great, and then later on down the line we got the deluxe one for the main line, and I just don't see the point. I think they need to release the mainline ones first before they start focusing on the Studio Series, because there's no real point of releasing the main lines. I don't know. That's like a little gripe.
Studio Series was based off the concept art as well, wasn't it? Though that's how we got Scourge, where his head looked nothing like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So one of the things that the Studio Series markets is obviously movie accuracy and big screen inspired and all that. So I think the best thing would be to do is release the Studio Series figures a few months after maybe the mainline ones, so you're getting a better version of that mainline version that you've paid for. So because that's obviously the whole point, to improve those mainline figures. So yeah.
I think for me, I mean, just actually as Phil mentioned it, I get a bit annoyed when I see the concept art. So we've had the concept art Megatron from the Bumblebee film, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's like, let's make money off it. Concept art. I'm like, oh, hold on a minute. Hold on. I'm to buy something that you didn't think was good enough for the film. I'm to buy your offcuts. I'm to buy your second hands. If it was that good, don't try and just sell off your edit floor kind of stuff. Put it in the film, and then I have a reason to buy it. Don't want to buy it because if you didn't think it was good enough for the film, why should it be good enough for the shelf? It is kind of my view. But that's a bit of a side one. I'm not going too much on that. But what you mentioned about Earthspark, absolutely 100%. I was quite a fan of that show. It was something different, but it does feel a bit like restricting change. And okay, shall we talk about it? Megatron turning into a tank seems to annoy people.
The hot topic at the moment.
That won't get any reaction from anyone in the chat, I'm sure.
No. Look, I'm all for paying homage to where it started, but 40 years is a long time, and a lot has happened, and a lot has changed. Quite honestly, I think Megatron looks better as a tank. I think he looks more menacing.
Makes more
I
sense.
think
doesn't need anyone to hold him to. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, because if you imagine, like, think of it in a concept, like as a script writing. You're going to transform. You're going to board the Autobot shuttle. The 86 movie, shock horror. But board the shuttle, wipe out the Autobots that are there, catch them by surprise. But you haven't done anything Starscream has wielded you. And you're the most feared leader in the galaxy. No, if you turn into a massive tank, or even Galvatron's turret is a little bit more believable because it looks menacing and he can kind of fire himself. But yeah, they go, oh yeah, Soundwave, anyone, pick me up, please, because I'm just kind of lying here doing nothing.
You look at like animated and Megatron being this massive attack helicopter, which is like totally awesome, and G2 where he's a tank, and you think, well, why were they having to explain mass shifting into a gun in G1? And it's obviously because it was based on a toy which existed before the concept of Transformers. Exactly. So it shouldn't get too hung up on. He is better as a tank. You're never going to get a company now letting children play with a toy gun. So I read somewhere that in Australia you have to have a license to own MP30.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
I heard that.
Just like move on, and I'm sure that whatever they do with them in the Studio Series 86, they're going to have to make him look as a robot how he appeared close enough to how he appeared on screen while still turning into a tank. So hopefully it'll be best of both worlds, unless they do the funniest thing ever and just repaint the Earthrise version.
Well, the Earthrise one that they are just milking that cow over and over.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's. I mean, times change and almost change, and as you rightly say, we go into Megatrons of other series. I mean, in the live action movies, when he goes into hiding with his little hood because robots wear fabric. Why not? He turns into like this Onslaught-esque truck. And, so he can be.
Such a cool alt mode.
I think that is a quite decent mode. Yeah. I'm not a fan of Megatron being a jet personally. That doesn't kind of sit well for me. You should be like a ground vehicle, and I think a tank just makes sense. You could argue it kind of demotes the likes of Brawl and anyone else who is in a tank kind of form. But yeah, he looks more. But there was such a resistance to change, as you rightly say, with his alt mode. And as you say, he's never going to be a gunner. I think that's the last you ever see a shockwave as a gun, because he's a submarine. If you turn him upside down, anything's a submarine if you kind of put it in a tube. But yeah, it's all right. Well, that's one topic I wanted to get what really grinds your gears. But it's interesting as we all have different views on it. So next question: I've got to think of this now. What do you particularly like of Transformers that you kind of feel you're in a minority for? What do you feel is your aspect of Transformers that you like, but not everybody does? Take your time now.
I can go on this one, which is I've started collecting the Unicron trilogy stuff because even though it's limited in its posability, a lot of them, I enjoy the kind of that chunk that you get with these figures. They're fun. I like the gimmicks, and I think for most modern collectors, everybody's going for that hyper realistic version of whatever figure it is. Every Optimus we get tends to get slightly better and slightly more. Everybody was saying the Netflix Prime, greatest Prime we've ever had. They can't possibly better this, and now we've got the Studio Series 86 one coming out that looks like it will do that. But I have to admit, there's times when I do enjoy just a bot that you can pick up and quickly transform and just enjoy it like you did when you were a kid a little bit as well, because that was the thing when you were a kid. It was the quick transformations. Even with some of the movie bots from when Brandon would have been younger, when they came out. And my son, he had quite a few of the movie bots from the 2007 movie and Revenge of the Fallen, and he could do those ones. I think one of the complaints you get a lot nowadays is the bots are over complex for children, and so the kids don't enjoy them as much because of that. So then you get Hasbro going completely the other way and going with really simplified versions of Transformers that are too much the other way. They need to find that kind of middle ground for it. But yeah, that's probably something that other collectors of my age, not all, but some, would disagree with me about. If they want, especially masterpiece collectors, they want that challenge and that long transformation that really pushes you to figure it out for yourself. Hard Panther.
We like a challenging transformation, but we don't like to be blood boiling. It's like, forget this, in the bin, never to be touched again. Because God knows I've had that. I like a challenge. I like a puzzle, but a puzzle that I complete. MP36, and you mentioned you've got to have a gun license for that. Don't worry about that. I've never got it in a gun mode. I'm never gonna. It's horrible.
But that's it. You want something that's kind of fun, don't you? You can still have. There are. I've spoken to enough masterpiece collectors to know that there are masterpiece Transformers that are not that difficult to transform, and that they do have a fun and engaging transformation. That's kind of what I enjoy about Transformers. I don't want to sit for 45 minutes to an hour trying to transform something to its alt mode and then never wanting to transform it again because of that.
I was saying before you came on today that I don't tend, unless they come in a alt mode, I don't tend to transform my masterpiece figures because I just don't. I like photographing them in robot mode, and I don't find it enjoyable. I like transforming mainline, but I don't want to sit for 45 minutes with an MGO video just to take a shot.
Yeah, well, that's it.
And then it breaks.
Pause, skip back 10 seconds.
Yeah.
You're reading my life, I'll be honest. That's me in a nutshell. But yeah, Brandon, what about you, mate? What do you like?
I kind of like what you said, Andy, with the leveling of, especially for younger audiences, with the transformation. That's why I kind of liked what the movies did, especially for the second and third, where they had the leveling system. And they had levels 1 to 3, where the third one was the highest level, meaning it was more harder to transform, whereas the first was obviously a lot more easier. But yeah, again, for me, my speciality would be obviously the movies. Yeah, some great memories growing up, and a little bit of what you were talking about earlier, Andy, with the negativities towards a lot of things that happen. Again, that's why we love TF Nation, because no matter what aspect of Transformers you're in, it just feels like one big family. And you can't ask for no more, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, to the point I was going to make, one of the things that I really like that not a lot of people like is I like the fact that Transformers occasionally, not always, does a bit something different. That's why I like Beast Wars. That's why I like Earthspark, and that's why that warm vibe at TF Nation is even more prominent, because we all come from different avenues and have different interests. If we all loved Optimus Prime, what's the point in going? If we all love G1 and nothing else, what's the point of it continuing? So that's why when Earthspark came out, I was like, great, I've got no interest in this, in as much as I don't have any preconceptions. They're new characters. Yes, there's Optimus. Yes, there's Megatron. Yes, there's Bumblebee, but it's all different. But it felt like a bit of a reset. When it's a season or a series that starts Autobots versus Decepticons, Crash on Earth, you know where it's going. We've done it before, and that was my initial concern with the Skybound comics. If any of you have read them, they're brilliant. But in the beginning, I thought, we're doing G1 again. We're doing 1984 again. And I've been pleasantly surprised that whilst it does follow somewhat of a similar trajectory, it is like an alternative universe. It's quite a bit of a not who you expect to appear on as a next panel. And that's a bit different. That's a bit new, and it keeps things fresh. That's what I like. But as we've said, there's people who can be quite averse to change. Ironically, for Transformers.
New comics seems to be doing really well, though. I think we talked about it last night. I know there was some derision about DC comics and all the rest of it, but it's outselling supposedly Marvel and DC at the moment. So that just goes to show it must be doing something right. And wasn't it the original Dreamwave comics back in the early 2000s that, again, was doing pretty much the same thing, came out and was outselling every other comic book that was around at the time, certainly in America at least. So it just goes to show there's clearly a big audience for that kind of thing. But I haven't had the opportunity to read those comics yet. I'm waiting for them to be released in a full volume, and then I think I'll pick that up and read it all through in one go. But I've heard great things.
Yeah, I've been getting them digitally just because I haven't got a comic shop anywhere near me, and I don't trust some of the postal systems, so I've been getting them on Kindle download. I'm really enjoying it. But like you, I've got a load of the IDW in hardback volume collection, so I'm probably going to do the same with Skybound. I wasn't keen on it initially. I wasn't thought it was for me, but I've stuck with it, and yeah, I'm as hooked as I was with IDW. As much as I do still really love going back to IDW, that was a big time for me. But yeah, no, it's cool. Deluxe, thanks for coming along, mate. Hope you're doing well. Right, Brandon, shall we have a look at some of your recent purchases? Go in. Brandon, hold that thought.
Oh, Phil.
Go on, maybe if you won a quiz, you'd have been fine, but you never.
So I've got two.
Go for it, though. Go for it.
I think that Rescue Bots is brilliant. And on that line, I think that the one-step changes are one of the best things that's happened to get kids into Transformers. The little Rescue Bot ones where you can just flip them and they just spring open. Absolutely love them. I think the Rescue Bots musical episode's one of my favourite Transformers episodes out of any of the series. Any of them. It's absolute genius. Have you seen it? There's some.
I have to admit, I haven't.
There's a machine which makes everyone sing, and it's very much like the Once More with Feeling Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode, where everything that happens is a song, and it's so good.
Don't say that. My wife's watching through that at the moment, so I think that episode's coming up. Okay, I've been sitting through a marathon. There's 188 episodes. I never knew that, but there is.
It's a treat, that episode, though. And the other thing, I've been really getting into the Robots in Disguise 2015 toys. I've got a couple on my desk here. Like, I've got this is like the Takara Adventure, Thunderhoof. They're just lovely toys, easy, good to fiddle with. Got the Nemesis there. He's had his hands modified so he won't cover him. It's beautiful. And
let's see Thunderhoof again, just quickly, if that's all right, because we saw someone dress up as that.
Paint's a bit different on the Takara one. He's got a bit more vibrant paint on him. So the person I had before took the sticker off from side to replace it, unfortunately. And last but the best is obviously everyone's favourite, Lobster. And they're just such fun little toys. I absolutely love them. So I've been getting a few of them recently. And I don't see many people talk about RID 2015. I think it gets binned off as a kids show, which, I mean, you know, we're all watching TV shows about transforming robots. What else is it? But, they're so good, and they kind of pass me by because I think it's when I was trying to get my son into Transformers, which never actually worked. They were the type of things I was buying for him with the RID 2015 ones. And now I've kind of came to it by myself and looked back on some of these toys and started picking some up and thinking, maybe I misjudged them slightly then. So yeah, they've been a real nice surprise, and I wish I'd see more people photographing and talking about those figures.
I kind of like a point that we touched upon at TF Nation with Ian and Andy, where we were saying, like, for example, when you were talking about RID 2015, how, and this kind of ties into earlier, where, you know, at TF Nation, there's different fans of different things. So no matter if you're from, for example, me, for example, from the movies, Ian from Beast Wars, you know, G1, whichever, in 10 years' time, there'll be probably an audience there at TF Nation for RID 2015. So no matter what aspect of Transformers will come out now or in the future, like the new Transformers 1 movie, people will grow up with that. And in 20 years' time, we'll be at TF Nation. And I love it. Absolutely love it. TF Nation.
Good Lord. I shudder to think how old I'm going to be then. Still going to TF Nation in 20 years' time. But yeah, no, I think you're right. That again just comes back to the point I made earlier around Earthspark. Because I was chatting to a couple of guys. There was one guy came across, probably similar age to you, Brandon, came across from Germany. And he was a big fan of movies, but he was also a big fan of Transformers Prime. That was his introduction. Very much his age bracket as well. And so we were saying Earthspark will be just the same, you know, like
I agree. Yeah,
people would have grown up with that and kind of carried that on, and it would have been their starting point in the fandom, but not that whether they live and die, you know, there would have been other series for them to carry on into, much like we have. And for it to be canned off before it even kind of got a chance, it's very disappointing. You know, it didn't have its time to flourish.
It is the fact, though, isn't it?
2 seasons. 2 seasons, or, you know, like you say, it has time to settle down. And again, like you say, in a couple of years' time or whatever, people who hated that's fine. But there might be somebody who absolutely loved it, has a massive collection of just Earthspark. You know, you never know. I'm saying with the movies. Obviously, the movies are well hated in the fandom, but for me, again, I love the movies. Earthspark's the same. That's becoming a bit hated, but there'll always be an audience for it. So, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Anyone else want to go on before I move on to the next segment? No, are we good?
I was just going to say that with the cartoons, it's disappointing that they've obviously canned it after 2 seasons, but they tend to can things after 3 seasons anyway. They very rarely nowadays go beyond 3 seasons for anything. Because of this fact, they keep refreshing what Transformers are. They've obviously done this for a long time now, really, especially since kind of the Beast Wars era. And every few years, you get a kind of restart on it all, and we get a new line, new toys under a new name, but obviously lots of the same characters that come up and again and again. And that's,
you know what the longest running one was?
Was it? Well, you see, I would have said G1, but I'm not sure.
But it's going to be Prime,
Beast Wars or something.
I
would have said G1.
Go on then, Quizmaster. I'm going to go with.
Oh, of course, yes, Rescue Bots. It has to be, because that's been going for quite a few years now, hasn't it?
The one which was aimed at the smallest of children. It was the longest running one.
Bloody hell! But yeah, you're right, aren't you? Because G1 went for 3. Let's be honest, it was 3 seasons, and then whatever Rebirth was, and Beast Wars went for 3, and Beast Machines went for 2. So okay, short running seasons are not new to Transformers. I think it's because we more or less felt they were coming to a natural end. The stories could wind down. Earthspark felt like, if anything, it was just warming up. It was getting there. It got greenlit for a second season and then instantly cancelled, to the point of you're almost like, do I bother watching this? Do I bother collecting the toys? I was a bit like that, slightly going off topic, with the Deadpool series on not Deadpool. Oh God, help me out here. Daredevil, thank you. I knew I had a D in it. Because I was enjoying that, and then I heard they canned the series, and it was like, why do I bother watching season 3 now? I know it's going to end badly because they haven't even had a chance to write it.
We saw it with Transformers Animated as well, though. That it was still extremely popular, but they sacked that off because they wanted to change to this new aligned continuity, and they went with Transformers Prime, and then Transformers Prime, which I personally really enjoyed. It still, for me, is the best cartoon series that we've had in terms of the balance towards adults and kids. Yeah. And then they sacked that off again, and it's just what Hasbro do. It's the reasons behind the getting rid of Earthspark that concern me, that they're not necessarily due to a lack of interest in the cartoon or the toys, but maybe some of that political reasoning behind it, which I'm not a fan of.
No, and I do think when it comes to the Earthspark toys, I had most of them that they've issued. They being Hasbro, put in bare bottom line interest in the toys. If they really wanted to make them better, they would have done, and they were very basic. Not saying they were bad, but they weren't anything like on a proper Chug scale, if you know what I mean. It's like some of the Chug figures we've got, and I'm like, if you wanted to make these better, if you actually gave a rat's ass, then you would have done. And I feel that's led as part to its intentional downfall, or taking your Arthur ball, what have you. Yeah, I just feel it's a massive shame. Right, as I was saying earlier, Brandon, I asked you to bring out a couple of your more recent purchases, sir. Do we have a look at some of the 3-0 stuff that you've got?
Yeah, sure. So I've actually got them here to the side. I am very scared because they'll probably end up falling over. But yeah, obviously I'm a big fan of non-transforming Transformers, which will be a question that I'm going to ask a bit later on. But here we have the, let me try and get him in the camera. Here we have the Last Night Bumblebee. Pretty accurate. Not a big fan of the head sculpt. I'm not going to lie. I do think it looks a bit silly, but we move. Oh, there we go. The battle mask is gone. The battle mask is gone. It's
that's
gone.
It. First sign of breakage.
Probably one of my favourite pieces that 3-0 has done, and that is the Last Night Optimus Prime. I'm very silly for this, and we fall in all this category, but I'm going to be paying £200 extra for a repaint of this with the red mark down his face for the Nemesis Prime one that they're going to be releasing. So I think we can all fall in the category of spending the same amount of money on the same figure, and just for a few little bit of extra details. But yeah, that is another one of my
Phil and I are not here to judge this one.
Another one here, I have the 3-0 Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime. Again, I think it's fantastically detailed. I hope people can see that. And I'm just a big fan of the detailing that 3-0 provide for figures, especially for people like me. Obviously, because I've got that much stuff in my collection, I'm not going to go around all 1,000 things and just transform them. So, again, to have a few pieces that can't transform, again, I'm a big fan of movie accuracy. I have the 3-0 Revenge of the Fallen Megatron. Again, I think it's awesome. The copper detailing, if you can actually see that, it's like this rust. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And then I know this is one that you was excited for, Ian, and I pray that this doesn't tumble over because you know exactly which one I'm talking about.
Go on. I'm waiting for the clatter.
The Oh God, the 3-0 DLX Revenge of
That's
the Fallen.
bigger than your
Jetfire.
head.
It is absolutely massive, mate. And as you can see at the back, literally here, where my finger is, there's actually a lot of pieces. You can see there's one butt cheek on and one
Yeah.
not. Literally,
Always remember your butt cheeks.
I was going to say that's
yeah.
movie accurate though, doesn't he fall apart in the movie?
Yeah,
so
the
that's all it
pieces,
is.
obviously he does fall apart, so that's a good excuse as any.
Yeah, that's what we tell ourselves.
In
I don't
terms
think I
of,
realised how big that was.
it
That's
is
huge, isn't it?
Oh
I
God, let
know.
me try. There you go. Again, it's taller than the Optimus Prime. It's just absolutely. It's incredible piece, but it's definitely something that needs displaying because again, like I've mentioned, even though it is movie accurate, if you want to say that, the pieces just fly off and it can get a little bit annoying. So I try and hold it with the legs. Because if I hold it with the body, the back sections, all these pieces clip on and they just fall off. So yeah, thank you.
It's a statue in every sense of the word, isn't it? Because you
start
1,000,000%,
fiddling with it,
and bits break off. But you've got some really lovely stuff there, mate. I mean, I'm a firm believer, and I don't mean this in any way near a critique state, but I'm a firm believer in the Transformers going to transform. But I look at particularly at the back of that Optimus Prime, you see like the wheels hiding on the back and the sort of the piping and the gubbins there, and I think that does look pretty nice, and that Megatron looked very nice as well. So I have been tempted. I came very, very close to getting that stylized Jazz that came out. Kapow had it. I don't know if that was that MDLX. I can't remember.
Yeah,
No,
the
I think it
MDLX.
was,
Yeah.
There was also
Yeah.
Flame Toys, the Kara.
Karai
Maybe that's
thing,
what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
the quite probably about 8-inch, and there was an MDLX, but I don't think that's out yet. Correct us if I'm
No,
wrong.
maybe that's
But
what I'm thinking.
the Flame
of, yeah.
Toys one looks incredible.
Yeah, I came very, very close to getting that. They want a pretty penny for it. I'm not going to lie, but Jazz is a cool character, and getting him with his, wing mirrors open and martini-looking stripes.
They're so much fun to photograph because they're so posable. The non-transforming figures. I'd urge you to get at least one to try them.
Now listen, Phil. Most of the Transformers in my collection are your fault. All right, stop trying to make me buy more.
Never.
God, why do I bring you on these things? Yeah. Anyone else got any kind of pickups they want to recently show off? Anything they want to talk about?
I can't show you it because it's on its way. I bought it earlier in the week and I haven't got it yet. It's going to get posted soon, hopefully. But I've just picked up an absolute grail item, which was I've got the MMC G2 Bruticus coming.
Wow.
The MMC one.
Nice.
What MMC one?
The MMC, they did their Assaultus, which was the G1 Bruticus Combiner.
Oh, yes.
They released it in the G2 colours. So, like the bright yellow body and all the neon camouflage.
Lovely.
And I think it's about 18 inches big, 5 masterpiece scale figures. And I've got that on the way.
Cool.
And I think it just looks incredible. So I can't wait to get my hands on that. And I just picked up a Thrilling 30s Springer because that totally passes by because I didn't collect when that came out. So I think this year I've got less new stuff and I've been kind of going back over some cool older stuff which I've missed, which has been quite nice, like Sandstorm and Springer from the Thrilling 30s.
It's great if you're discovering them for the first time. If you're discovering these vintage toys for the first time, it's
well, it was like that with animated because I was I watched the movies in 2007, but I wasn't into animated then, and getting into animated 2 years ago was just absolutely revolutionary to handle those toys and watch the show, which I'd missed first time, was a beautiful thing. But yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on that MMC G2 Bruticus because it just looks incredible.
Yeah, because I mean, Guzzy's mentioned it in the chat as well. I've said many, many times that MMC, arguably the best third-party company out there for what they do. So many more hits than misses. Whilst I enjoy Kang Toys, whilst I enjoy Geiger Power, all that kind of stuff, at MMC, I don't think I've been disappointed with a single figure. And they're fun,
they're posable, they're nice to mess with. I don't think that they take it as seriously as fans' toys. They just seem a lot more fun and nice and more like toys than these fragile models that if you move them wrong, they're going to scratch a piece off. So I think, and obviously you know how much I love the Optus Pexus mold.
It might have come up once or twice, maybe with your full team purchases somewhere.
It's just they're just so good. I love their Springer. That's absolutely amazing. They're just a brilliant company. I really love them. Can't wait to see what they come up with next. And I can't wait to complete the X-Bots as well, because that's going to be an absolute sight.
Yeah, I've got one of those on the way as well, so I've got 3 of them. But just one that I want to show off, which it's nowhere near finished combined. I do mean combined, but Gav's in the chat, so I suppose I've got to try and pander to him. I finally got Big Boy Power Baser, complete with Marvel Accurate Head, which I'm looking forward to getting because I think that looks lovely. Certainly better than that head. I've got the Lightning Eagle, which is the same mold, but surprisingly, when I've got it in hand, it's surprisingly different. It's been remolded, big gold shoulder stacks and everything that Thunderclash has, but Power Master Prime just has that bit more to it. And let me tell you, that paint on it, the blue and the red, is absolutely lovely. That really caught me by surprise. He's not fully pieced together. I've got his guns here and all the rest of it, and High Q, which is there doing weird splits. Hello. But yeah, I love him. I think he's really good. So will there ever be a meat you can only absorb? Thank you very much for the donation, but I suppose considering you've given money, I've got to at least entertain and ask the question. You can only absorb. Well, I don't know how you eat your round tree. No, your sausages. That's it. Yeah. How do you eat yours? Never mind. Moving swiftly on. So, but that's something that I got today. Andy, please save us, dear God. What did you get recently?
Well, obviously, lots of stuff around TFN time. Since then, I showed a couple of these bits off on the show. So I only got these just because we were out and we were in the Metro Centre, and we went to the Entertainer, and they had these RED red figures of Megatron and Soundwave. What I'll say about them is they look great in the box, and they look all right if you stand them on a shelf. But yeah, I can see why they haven't really been successful. Just as kind of like action figure bots. I don't even mind the fact they don't transform if they felt sturdy and everything, but the build quality isn't there for me. I also got another Blockies, and I haven't actually built it yet. I haven't built it because it's Ironhide, and I'm just not that excited about it. I'm going to be honest, for all the Ironhide lovers, I'm sorry, I don't like Ironhide. He was one of my least favorite Autobots. So when I got it, of the 9 bots I could have got, and it was Ironhide, and I just knew
you got Ironhide.
But that doesn't change the fact that despite that, I have ordered a wave of Blockies because I've decided I want the Constructicons, if nothing else, out of them. So I've got a wave of those that are currently shipping their way to me. And the only other thing I've got is not actually a Transformer. And this is thanks to Drew. I don't know if Drew's in the chat or if he's watching. Hopefully he will be.
Oh, he's there somewhere.
He sent me a message to point out that the Masterverse Andra, which was quite a difficult figure to pick up when it first came out, had appeared on Amazon for like £12 or something like that, which was just ridiculous. So I was able to get one ordered, and she will go with the rest of my Master of the Universe collection. But that's it really for me. Everything else that I've got, obviously I've shown previous weeks on the show. But I got the Armada, Legacy Armada Prime, and I've been having a fiddle with that, and that is an incredible figure.
Yeah, you got that a little late. I thought you already had that for some reason.
So I didn't order it first time around because I don't know why I didn't really order. I didn't think at the time, but I looked at it and I just thought, I'm not sure this is going to be any good. And then of course all the reviews started coming in, and everybody said this thing's absolutely amazing. But everywhere seemed to be sold out. And then luckily they put up the second lot of pre-orders, and I use a company called The Whole Shebang, not sponsored, for my Master of the Universe stuff usually, and they just started doing Transformers, getting some in, and they had the pre-orders for things like that and the Siege Jetfire and some of the other bits that you might know have come back up on Hasbro Pulse and everywhere, and I ordered it through them, and lo and behold they got it in a bit earlier than some of the other companies. So yeah, that was really good, and it is a fantastic figure, whether it's combined or in its individual form.
Just as feels like a toy, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It's
does.
not that
Wonderful.
hard to transform, is it? But there's still bits you have to do that elevate it above, kind of standard transformer. But like the sturdiness, just the feel of it again, it's just fantastic. So yeah, you've already got that though, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
Yeah,
I've-
yeah. Sorry, I bet Ian as well, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this
I've
to you.
well.
I know, and this is the thing, because I'm
Well, let's all
quite
hold
like
up our
fans hobby.
Armada price.
I'll go and get mine,
No.
but it's downstairs. I'll leave it for now.
I mean, I got this just because I felt it looked good. And as you know, Andy, I'm not the biggest chug collector in the world, but I got it and go, wow, that's pretty something. And it's do not regret it whatsoever. To the point, and I said this to Primetime Off, I've got him alongside Fans Hobby Armada Megatron, and he scales perfectly. Don't need the Fans Hobby. I'm sorry, Gav, you don't. But he does the job beautifully. Yeah. Base mode is a base mode. Call it what you will. But I really love the truck mode, and like you say, Phil, he's very close to the original toy. And I've said many, many times, late Beast Wars into RID 2001 into Armada, the toys there, the playability was so much fun, and this just feels that kind of fun for me.
I'll tell you what, just before we before we leave new toys alone, I forgot to mention, I know it's old news now, but goodness me, this guy. I collect Optimus Primes, and I wasn't bothered about it, and I thought, I just don't need it. What am I going to do with it? And then I met a guy called Al at TFN. He was like, I'm going to go to my room and get you mine, and after you've held it, you're going to buy it. And I was straight to Kapow the next day to buy it. It's just the most wonderfully tactile, clicky little thing. Like, have you guys got this?
No,
I've heard nothing but glowing reviews.
It's just the sound.
It's the toy we should have got way back when, isn't it?
It's so fun to mess with. So if you can get your hands on him, then I'd really recommend it, because it's just brilliant. Lovely little guy.
Brandon, I apologise for my wife.
Bradley.
Bradley. Very quickly, Andy, because we had a comment from the Gold member in the chat. Where do you order the Blockies from? I would like to know, because I wasn't too bothered about them, and then everyone decided to lose their minds. So now I feel I've got to get some.
Well, it's nice of Chris McFeely Jr. to ask the question. What it was somebody, I don't remember who it was. Might have even been, who was it? Somebody basically had mentioned that they'd ordered it all. It might be Pete, and he found them on AliExpress. Over here, you're paying about £70 or £80 a wave, and from over there, it was like £25, £30 for a whole wave. So. We've given them a spin. I had a discussion with him about this. We've given them a spin. We're assuming they're not going to be knockoff, because it just seems very early to get knockoff versions of them when they're really so new. But if they are, they are. But I think it was worth a punt.
I think it came to £37 for the entire first wave, because I had it in my basket the other day.
Yeah.
MFD combiner instead. It was a really good price, and I think it's because you are ordering direct from China.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's worth getting. If you remind me later on, Ian, I'll send you the link. Pete might be able to send it to you if he's watching. He might be able to send it to you. But it's worth having a look and giving him a go anyway. What's the biggest?
I'm starting to feel. Look, Paul. Look. I love you. I'm starting to feel like the common whore if you're going to throw money at me and make me perform like a barking seal. Now, what is
that one off? That one off He-Man, wasn't it? That was massive.
All these £2 add up as well, so just keep it.
Don't encourage him, Brandon. All right, I don't want this to be my main source of income, that I start talking about stupid shit on my screen. I'm perfectly capable of talking about stupid shit on my own.
Like cats and meats and.
He's in a good mood because Arsenal won. That's what it is. Arsenal won.
Good
mood.
Boo!
He's celebrating by throwing money at you.
Second best team in North London, I hear.
No! That's not going to stop him, Ian.
It's not. If anything, he's going to just keep going. All right, let's get him out of the way. Biggest cat. I don't know.
Oh,
Christ.
God.
I don't
Lion,
know.
tiger, something like that.
Oh, I was going to go like He-Man. You know, I was going to think
Oh,
a little
Battle
bit
Cat.
more. You know,
Yeah.
Battle Cat. Yeah, I was
All
going
right,
to kind of
go
go
on
a little bit more beyond that. Yeah, Battle Cat. Great. Moving on. Thanks,
Cheetor.
Paul.
Cheetor and Rise of the Beast. That was
Cheetor,
a
yeah.
fair
We
size. wasn't it?
need more Cheetos in the world. He's just down there for me, and also tiny little one
He's
that's
bigger than Bumblebee.
Yeah,
Is
and a
Tigertron
better
bigger
character
than
similar to.
Cheetor?
Yes, in a word.
So maybe Tigertron. There you go.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, absolutely. There we go. I hope that was the best 90-second discussion of your life, Paul. I really hope. Supreme Cheetor, oh good
£2
lord.
well spent.
Oh, Supreme
Cheetor, can we not talk about that figure ever again, please, for
Yeah.
our sake? Right, quickly, moving on. Brandon, you had a couple of points you wanted to raise, sir. Floor is yours.
Regarding non-transformable Transformers.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Bottom line is one thing I wanted to ask people in chat, and obviously you guys here. What's your opinion on non-transformable Transformers? Personally, I absolutely love them because I know you pay an hefty price, but I think in terms of details and, you know, as Craic mentioned, you know, articulation and things the amount of fun you actually do get out of a non-transformable Transformers is just incredible, really.
So, as I said, I think I kind of briefly touched on this. I have not handled a non-transformable Transformer other than Action Master, which I didn't know what I had, if I'm honest. But I haven't gone in for any of these statues. I come so close. Some of them go for crazy money, which is what.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I feel like I'm going to alienate a lot of people. And sorry, Brandon, with yourself. I believe a Transformer should transform. This is why I will be that guy that does the 45-minute transformation with the MGO videos back 10 seconds. That's me. I'm bumping those views up for him because I think it's got to go into its mode. You don't have to do it every day, but it's got to do it as that's its gimmick. Saying that, I've looked at some of them. There's some of these statues. Oh, help me out, Phil. Was it
Yellow Park? Is it the Yellow Park?
No, I do want to come on to Yellow
right,
Park
right.
actually, but it was Tarn, and it had like really pointy claws. Tarn, quite a big one as well.
Was that Flame Toys one?
Yeah, it could have been.
There was a KO called Muscle Bear, which my brother's got, and it's like really beefy, huge, really posable Tarn, and it's beautiful.
I look at that because I've got the MMC Tarn Couture and love him, but I see these things. It look with these claws, and you're thinking you're leading the DJD, Decepticon Justice Division. You want to look like you can tear anything to pieces, and that does. And much like with Jazz, I came very close. But I like to fiddle with them. I like to put them in different poses. I like to even though I'm some of them that I've transformed and hated and never touched again. So maybe I'm a bit hypocritical. But yeah, quickly going on the YOLO part, I haven't picked one up yet. It's not because I don't want to. I just haven't got around to it. I've looked at some of them, particularly their Shockwave, Bumblebee Shockwave, I think it is, that they got, which is a little bit more than some of their others in terms of price. But some of them look really good, and everyone says who assembles it, even the Prime and G1 Megs, they just look brilliant. And you're paying about 25 quid, you know? So, yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? How do you feel about non-transforming Transformers?
I think the YOLO Park Bumblebee Shockwave was one of the really expensive ones because they also do like premium model kits as well.
Yeah.
The £25 ones there called the AMK series, and they just like flip together in about 9 steps. It's pretty much my level of building, considering a Blocky stressed me out at TFN. But I love non-transforming Transformers, considering the main thing I do is pose and photograph figures. They offer such a lovely look, and I've got quite a few. I've got some of the 3-0s. I've got some of the Bumblebee 3-0s. I've got the non-transforming Siege figures of Prime and Megatron from 3-0, which are just
is that the premium ones. Is it? Premium
no, the size of Brandon's.
Yeah. I don't know.
I can get one out in a minute if you want to see, because it's.
I bet you say that to all the lads.
Yes.
I just got this dude out because he's one of the AMK YOLO Parks, which is
I really want
Primal. And
the
he's so poseable. beautiful figure. It doesn't transform, but then I don't think I need him to because I've got the Studio Series as well for everyone in alt mode.
The ape looks well as well. The ape.
Yes, it
does
does
look
look
well
really
good.
good. I'm going to grab that Siege figure now, so hold on, give me a second.
Go. Don't think you've got enough primes there, Phil. You need more primes, mate.
I think I do, yeah. I've got more behind us as well.
Just have a good nose of your collection. What's going on here? I'm just seeing like that. Go. That's nice stuff.
2 seconds.
No, it's fine.
Yeah,
Just having a little look. Oh, it's a big boy.
So this is the 3-0 non-transforming Siege figure.
That is big, isn't it?
It's huge. You take his head off.
Is it supposed to happen?
decapitate it. Yeah, because this is where the lights are.
Oh.
Then you plug this into here.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
And he's got his waist. We're talking like hyper posable. Ab crunch.
Oh,
You've got the
stop
bit where the
doing this.
details
This is-
revealed in the back.
This is when you make me buy things. Stop doing
Yeah,
this.
I absolutely hate this.
I mean, you can see the posability on it.
Oh God, no! I
ridiculous.
winced there. Stop that.
But it's heavy, ridiculously heavy, mostly metal. But yeah, I've got Prime and Megatron from Siege, and I know Siege wasn't the most popular show, but the designs for Prime, it just looks so imposing. Grab Megatron as well while I've got the cabinet open.
Go for it. That when you plug it in and the chest lights up green, you think, "Oh yeah, no, that looks pretty nice." I don't mind the milking the cow dry of the Siege Megatron because again, he is, dare I say, a tank. He looks a bit more armored.
So this is the battle damage is amazing. Got lights here, lights there.
Nice. I just feel that's a good mold to be in that kind of MP scale. It is MP scale, isn't it? 9-10
It's
inches.
bigger. It's bigger than
wow.
MP scale, just a bit. He's I'm pretty sure he'll be bigger than MP 36.
Oh yeah, just put it right up to the camera again. That makes me want to buy it more.
Extreme
Thanks.
close-up.
Manu,
As and then as Skywalker SES has gone enabler, quite right. He's more or less the same height, give or take.
I'm holding him in
He's
the air. He's slightly shorter. Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But that's kind of got that. Andy, would you think not War Within style, but maybe IDW when he comes back and he puts a body on after Chaos when he goes back to his more tank form than stealth bomber. He's a bit more beefier.
I think that because as Phil said, that's based off the Siege world, isn't it? But that's like the Netflix one with the battle damage across the chest and everything, which I think the Netflix one was shinier paint job as well. But yeah, it's interesting because obviously you said yourself, Phil. Little you mentioned before you don't always transform your Transformers, so I think that's the thing. If you don't necessarily transform your masterpiece Transformers that much, or whichever ones you get, then I wouldn't think you'd be that averse to picking up some of these kind of statue type model kits. They're not statues, are they?
They look amazing and they're fun to photograph and they pose brilliantly. And the feel like you've got your money's worth. I mean, you'll know, Brandon, like the weight of them and the feel of them in your hand.
Yeah, kind of what Gav was touching on in the chat. Like, if you're a big fan of something in particular, like having that in hand, like you've just been saying, it's truly breathtaking. Like I said, the level of detailing on some of these, like I said, this looks like it's been ripped straight out the film. Do you know what I mean? Like, it truly is. It is mad. It is totally mad to be holding something. So, and again, I know you pay an hefty price, but it's definitely worth it, especially if you're obviously a fan of it. But
picking on Prime as an example, you think about it. We know this as masterpiece collectors, Phil, don't we? That quite often, if you're trying to get a bot into a slender bot into a bulky alt mode or the other way around, it never fully works. Or there's going to be so many panels or parts forming to compromise to do it. Now, that Prime that you just held up, Brandon, that is quite slender. And actually, he's quite sort of curved around the legs. He's got sort of shoulder pads on the go. If that was to be a Transformer, could that realistically turn into the truck? Would it be compromised in its alt mode?
I've just recently picked up the Unique Toys Age of Extinction Galvatron, and as people know, the designs for Age of Extinction were a lot more slick. They just didn't look like they can transform. And honestly, holding the Unique Toys Galvatron, it looks double like it did in the movie, and it can transform as well. It's totally masterpiece
Unique
in
toys
terms of
do well.
engineering. It's just.
I used to have that
mind-blowing,
Prime, the Unique Toys version, and it,
Or the Challenger.
Witchcraft. Yeah, it's Witchcraft.
I nearly bought that. I nearly bought that at TFN. I actually had Moth put it to one side for me, and then people were asking about it, and I felt bad. I said, "Oh, go on and let it go." But I've heard people say how that has any right to transform into a truck. It is just not human. Well, it's not. It's a robot. But, you know. But yeah, YOLO Park, I could seriously go for it. I've heard glowing reviews. I've looked at their Cheetor a few times and from Rise of the Beast and thought it looks quite smart. And it does not cost half the world.
30 quid.
Yeah. The brilliant price, yeah. Amazing price.
This guy's the same line as the Cheetor, and he had the body and the head and a couple of thigh plates, and I snapped them together in about 5 minutes. And it's well worth for the price you're paying. And
Starscream's coming out next, isn't he? G1 Starscream, they're going down next. So, it'll be a Grimlock next. It'll be a Bumblebee. It'll be a Soundwave, and God knows what else. So they're just going to keep going. Andy, did you cover your point? Non-transforming Transformers?
As in, would I collect them? If it was characters that I liked, if it was something I thought it was worth it, then potentially, yeah. Because at the end of the day, how many of us put the figures up on the shelves in the robot modes anyway and leave them standing there for God knows how long before we even touch them again? It's just what we do as collectors. So is it that much of a stretch to say, right, well, here's an incredibly accurate looking version of that figure in robot mode that costs a fraction of the amount to get maybe a more expensive third-party version, which looks stunning and everything, but will cost you a hell of a lot more money. These YOLO Park things, I was amazed when I found out how much they cost. It's just ridiculous for the quality of them. And at TFN, having had a chance to work with Primetime Toys, and of course they were selling some of them, these things get snapped up, and rightfully so. They're extremely popular because they're really good figures. So yes, I mean, not Action Masters. I'm afraid I had Action Masters as a kid and I remember them. So I know some people now look at them through the rose-tinted glasses and say, "Oh, but no, I'm sorry,
they weren't good then. They're not good now."
No, they're not. But again, I can get the thing I'd equate it to from G1 is like the Pretenders. I am one of those people who looks back and actually now enjoys the Pretenders. At the time, I thought, "What bloody hell's this?" The robot modes were rubbish. The alt modes were basically you fold the legs up and it's a bit of a stretch. And then you had the shells, which weren't very posable. But actually now I really enjoy that. I think these are great. Those Pretender shells. So then they're quite good fun if you're taking photos of them. So yes, I'd buy them because I buy other action figures like the Master of the Universe stuff, and I've got some Thundercat stuff as well. But I do, like you, Ian, I do sometimes have that feeling of it looks like a Transformer, but it doesn't transform, so it's not really a Transformer because that's like the name is kind of like, to me, the point. But if you just want a representation of the robot mode, crack on. I think there's some fantastic ones out there, as we've seen from the lads tonight.
Yeah, and I think Gav hit the nail on the head, particularly with Bayverse stuff. And as I said as well, you've got some very bulky and very busy looking bot modes that turn into alt modes, and it might not necessarily transcribe. That Jetfire, Skyfire, massive statue you've got, that would be hell to put that into a Blackbird jet. Absolute hell. But as a statue, it just is captured the character perfect. I don't think anything's come close to on-screen accuracy as that. That looks stellar.
Yeah,
it really did.
It is a work of art. Again, like you said, especially with all those pieces popping off, trying to get that into a Blackbird. Oh my God, that'd be a nightmare.
You do it once. Yeah, God knows I've got that. You transfer it once and you leave it there to die. But moving on, Paul's decided to be host for the evening. Question for the group: top four limbs. Go on, let's get out of the way. I have got other stuff I want to talk about, Paul. That's fine.
What is
top four limbs?
Top four limbs. And he doesn't mean actual limbs of your body, Brandon. He means combiner limbs. Well, I hope to God he does. Let's go.
No, I think he means limbs of the body. That's the answer in the chat.
Yeah, because they're actually saying ankles, aren't they? Paul, can you not be weird? Please, mate. Not
Butler
weird. Thanks,
Abdul's
lovely.
left arm is quite a random choice.
Well, I'll
today, isn't it?
piggyback the question. Top combiner limbs. Let's try and make this somewhat Transformer related. Brandon, combiners, where do you stand? Who is a particular limb that you like? You like
I'm still trying to get my head around the question, but I mean, if he's wanting the question that we all think I'd why not left leg? Why not?
A particular left leg character is I'm gonna.
In terms of Transformers,
like Devastator, the big Revenge of the Fallen, we had about 9 parts to it.
Yeah, in terms of the Devastator, if we're talking that, maybe long haul, considering it makes up his leg. But I am totally mind blown of favorite limbs. You know.
Yeah, that's Farrelly for you. He gets bored with a phone. I know you meant limbs on the body part. I'm still not going to do it.
He paid you another £2 just in time.
He's giving me money to do it, and I love him for it. At the same time, would you wind your bloody neck in?
He's having a good year, clearly.
The overtime form as well. Yeah, Phil, help us out here. Combiner limbs, please pick one.
I think the one which always sticks in my head is First Aid. It was one I vividly remember getting as a kid from Woolworths. I think he's put away somewhere. I used to have my G1 on my desk. But yeah, First Aid as a kid, remember getting them. And then obviously the MMC ones, which are coming, the First Aid's absolutely stellar. So yeah, if just one off the top of my head, which if you just say, name a combiner limb, it has to be First Aid, just for the memories of having him as a kid, the little chunky little robot, and then obviously being the start of the MMC protector bots.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
Or your right leg to satisfy Paul.
Just go with the leg. Don't pander to him, for crying out loud. Andy, please rescue. Please.
Right, Scrapper.
Good choice.
Who else?
Another leg.
I'll go with Cinetwin. He was a childhood favourite. I will go with Overbite, even though sometimes in the Seacons people think that Overbite should be the target master cannon, but I use him as a limb sometimes as well. And Brawl would be the other one, who we obviously saw earlier. And then probably right leg, left little finger, head, and big toe on your right foot. There you go. Just for you, Paul. Just for you.
I am not going to pander to.
You're going to be rich by the end of this year. You're going to be rich beyond your wildest dreams.
I am not indebted to the man. I am not, as much as I love him dear, and using his StreamYard, which I won't talk about. But shock horror. Yeah, I know. I saw shock horror. Razor Claw, my little lion boy, of course. Leader of the pack. But if I had to pick another one, I was always a fan of Air Raid. Because I got him in a G2 box set back in God knows when, and he came blue, but he had like webbing on the wings, and I always thought it was like Spider-Man wings. So I was just like, oh well, yeah, Air Raid's my boy, and I liked the fact that he's always had a bit more personality than the other aerial bots compared to maybe Skydive and Fireflight. So yeah, but Razor Claw is my boy. Big lion.
And I changed my answer then because I completely didn't even think of the Predacon. So I'll swap out Brawl. I love him, but I'm going to swap him out and I'm going to take Dive Bomb because Dive Bomb's
a lad.
The goat.
Yeah, he is a lad. Evening, Mick. Ripper Snapper, good choice. I mean, to be honest, the Terracons you can't really go wrong. They all look Blot's a bit weird. What is Blot? It's not much of anything.
It's like a troll thing, isn't it? I mean, unspecified monster thing.
Yeah, don't be a troll. Never be a troll. Changing the subject, but I got these guys out. I got these guys on Facebook. I nearly bought them at TF Nation from the Rebirth. The clones. They are absolutely shitting tiny. Absolutely. Like, that's a deluxe. It's
oh yeah, they're small.
It's so small. Not that I'm unhappy with them, but my God, I'm glad I didn't pay full price for them because they look
good alongside a Chug 6-shot, which is where I have them. They look good with the Chug 6-shot. So I
keep them down on. that shelf, which is my rebirth shelf. I got the Misfire and Galvatron. Yeah, I'll keep saying it that way. But it's they're kind of sitting there. My God, they're tiny. They're really small. Because I think in demand, no, Capel had them up for 50 quid at TFN, and I was just like, it was boxed, but I don't keep the boxes of Chug stuff. And I just thought, oh, no, don't really want to pay that, so I didn't pay that. Right. Anyone else want to have the floor? Any other burning questions they want to throw out to the group? Go for it, please. Not Paul. Not Paul.
Say hello to Brad, because Brad's in the chat as well. It's nice to see Brad. And I think Moff's come in as well. So we've got a few latecomers who are joining us, which is nice to see.
Did see Moff briefly. Where has Moff gone? There's Moff. Evening, Moff.
Watching silently from the shadows.
He's one of those, isn't he? I'm not clicking on that one, Paul. Behave. Right. Anything else? Because I'll choose another topic. Anything else to please keep the Farrelly at bay?
Well, favorite live action movie, because you put up a poll about it, didn't you, Ian?
I did.
On Twitter, which seemed to get quite a bit of interaction, and it'd be interesting to know what we, each would particularly go for as our favorite live action film, if we had to
go
choose.
for it. Okay, as Andy has rightly said. Well, do you know what, Andy? We'll start with you then. Favorite live action movie?
I'll go with what I went with on your poll. I'll go with Bumblebee. I think that was a really good film. Even if it hadn't been a Transformers film, it was just a really good film. Had that kind of E.T. 80s feeling. So I really enjoyed that. Rise of the Beast was good, but I still felt it didn't quite capture quite the same magic that Bumblebee did. And I did enjoy the 2007 movie. I'm not that I'm picking three here, but I will say I did enjoy the 2007 movie, as I've mentioned before when we've discussed it on Transformers the Show. And that's more, there's nostalgia of going to see it for the first time. And that first time you saw a real life Optimus Prime on screen transform with the music, the soundtrack, was it Steve Jablonsky? Just amazing. Getting to see that with my son at the time, and my wife was, it's got its faults, but it's still a decent film. But Bumblebee would be my choice.
Strong choice. Phil, favorite live action movie?
Yeah, probably similar answer. I think Bumblebee, for the reasons you said, it's got that sort of almost Steven Spielberg sense of wonder to it. It does a lot with quite a small cast of characters and quite a simple storyline. I think it manages to make the robots have a lot more emotion and personality than I think, and especially the Decepticons in it actually don't just have this "we are evil because we are" sort of thing. And I think John Cena's really good in it. But yeah, I think Bumblebee, for obvious reasons. I still have a real soft spot for the 2007. I've got a bunch of the Masterpiece figures from 2007. I remember, obviously, the internet we weren't as sort of terminally online as we are now, and I remember sort of the drip feed of stuff, like where it was meant to be the Mars rover, was it? And you saw the shadow of the robot attack it, and then seeing Blackout transform for the first time was jaw dropping. So for all its faults, I've got a lot of time for that, because I remember how excited I was thinking, we're actually getting a live action Transformers movie. It's actually happening. And, before that, what was your Transformers movie? I guess it was the 1986 one. So, and I don't think it was, there was obviously still the shows, and it wasn't at the forefront of popular culture as it is now. Whereas, I'm assuming sort of the general people in my life who I work with or whatever, they don't understand why I collect Transformers, but they know their names and know who they are. Whereas, and I think the 2007 film was very much responsible for bringing a lot of new people in, for helping grow it and bring it to the point it's at today. So for all the faults of the movies after that, Bumblebee's the best real soft spot for 2007.
Yeah, I'll jump in with that next. Bumblebee for me is so much better than I say what's come before it. Again, 2007 was really, really good, but Bumblebee, I've said this before, has hit the right notes of correct level of human interaction. Now, I don't want to go off piece, but I've said this before. Humans in Transformers films has never come down really well. And hey, that even goes to cartoons and even G1 to a point. There was a couple of times that Spike was a little bit unbearable. And I felt even with Sam Witwicky in 2007 and going further into the films, it was like it just got a little bit tedious, and I felt Charlie. It was Charlie, wasn't it?
Charlie's in
Bumblebee.
Bumblebee,
Yeah. She was just the right level of human to robot interaction. There was a nice warmth between the two of them, and I cared. And I think you rightly said, the Decepticons as well.
She played the part really well as well. Her
She did.
Alongside what must have been a tennis ball on a stick. It was just absolutely wonderful.
The magic of cinema. But yeah, no, she did. And whenever you did see even like to John Cena, it didn't feel like it outstayed its welcome. But it was a simple story, easy to follow. And it was dripping with G1 references as well, of course. So we were entertained. 2007 was very good. I didn't mind... Hold on. Third one.
Dark of the Moon.
Yeah, Dark of the Moon.
Yeah, that was decent.
I didn't
Take
mind
the human bits out.
I didn't. I wasn't as big a fan of Revenge of the Fallen, but I think that was because I didn't care for the Fallen as a character. But Sentinel Prime, I took a bit more seriously as a credible threat. That's why I probably liked the film a bit more. But short answer, Bumblebee 2007 was great. We saw it for the first time, and I think I saw it in 3D as well in the cinema, which was quite cool. Seeing all these bits flying towards you, it was going so quickly you didn't know what was going on. But yeah, it was good to watch, and I enjoyed that. Go on, Brandon. Floor's yours, mate. This is your specialty.
Before I actually say which one's my favourite, it's actually quite interesting to hear, different points of when people like kind of grew up, if that makes sense. Like, obviously, you guys have been alive since the very beginning, whereas I. No, that's not like that's not
the old Git Brigade.
Shade.
But like you've grown up with Transformers since the very beginning, whereas I
so old, not as old as Pete, but we're old. Sorry, carry on.
Whereas I came in. Again, the 2007 film. But so yeah, it's quite interesting to hear different points and how that affected you when the first film came out. That's quite crazy. I was only I think I was 5 years old when the first film came out. So that's quite crazy, to be honest. Yeah.
Right in the age. Take
that, Ian. Take that.
Come back. I know, I used to be the baby. I'm not the baby anymore. Good Lord. I invite you on my show, and this is how you repay me.
But in terms of my favourite Transformers film, it would 100% be Dark of the Moon. For the simple reason of the film itself, the memories that I had leading up to Dark of the Moon were. I wish I could go back to those memories by a mile. When that trailer first dropped, it was supposed to be the end of the Bayverse at the time. And you can definitely tell because in terms of the music, the battles, the characters, for me, it just felt like that was it. That was the end. And obviously when it's our fight, it's at the end, the music, when they're all battling, it definitely just feels like that was supposed to be the last one. And you can definitely feel it. And when Linkin Park plays at the end, it just gives that nice closure. But again, like with the memories growing up, obviously I used to go around to Josh's house, who you've seen on the videos, and we used to just, after school, just play Transformers for until late at night, and then go home, go to school, repeat that, and obviously get excited for the film. I would 1,000,000% go back to them memories. They were some of the best moments of my life, just being excited for that third film. Yeah, it's quite bringing a smile back to my face thinking about it, to be fair.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, I saw a post the other day. I think I was talking to a couple of people at TFN about it, and it was what is for Stan Bush for us with Touch and Dare is down the generation like Brandon growing up with the movies is Linkin Park, their Stan Bush, which is not exactly a bad alternative, let's be honest. But yeah, you're hearing some. I remember the end credits of the 2007 movie with "What I've Done" coming over the end scene of Optimus speaking, and it's just that's a really good way to close off a show. So I thought that was really cool. And yeah, you're right. It gives a cinematic feel, doesn't it? A bit more grandstand because we're used to, if you like, cheesier formats of 18-minute cartoons from our days, and I include Beast Wars in that.
Isn't it, though? The score, that Arrival on Earth, it's just, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, the 2007 film, I always put it up there with Dark of the Moon because, again, I watched that film when I was very young. That got me into Transformers, even though I originally grew up with the original RID. It was perfect at the time because I got to see that film. And even to this day, just watching it, it's magical. And like you said, with the arrival to Earth and Optimus transforms for the first time, again, I don't know how that must have felt for y'all to see it on the big screen, but it definitely hits the feels for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right. Unless anyone else... Go for it.
Brandon,
please don't ask Paul's question.
Were you 8 then when the film came out? Would you be about 8 years old? Was it 2011?
So I was born in 2002, so I would have been about 9.
Right, 9 years old. You see, that's a peak age when you're into toys as a kid. I mean, that was like 9 years old with Transformers. Fantastic.
It is crazy because they always said that you don't remember much when you were young. But I honest to God, like those days, I prefer that because, again, like you were saying earlier, Andy, there's a lot more negativity now. When I was young, I had no phone, so I wasn't aware of all the negativity or anything like that. So again, it was I don't know. You just had to be alive during that time. You obviously had the War for Cybertron games and the Fall of Cybertron games at the time. You had Transformers Prime circling around. Again, it was just a fantastic time to grow up with, and it's like you said, it's a lot different now with Transformers because there's no shows or anything that's coming out that hit with like they did back then, if that makes any sense. But yeah, like we were talking Ian at TF Nation about like the games, for example, they're not making any games that hit with fans anymore. So obviously they've got the Reactivate game, and it's been in the development for God knows how long. And we don't have.
I walk past where that's being made today, and the sign for it is still up in their reception. Because every time I go past it, I look at it as it's that Statue of Liberty crash scene, and they haven't taken it down. So please make a game, do something. But I think as you said, Brandon, those games, and I'll quickly just touch on the games because you're right. We had War for Cybertron going into Fall of Cybertron. The live action movies, particularly around 2007, gave such a jolt back into Transformers to the point that we did get those games. 2007 film doesn't happen. Neither did the games, most probably. Not saying definitely not, but most probably. It was a nice resurgence. And those Fall of Cybertron games, they were brilliant. They were so good. I did a video recently.
We definitely need remasters or some sort of re-upgraded version of them. 1,000,000%. And I hope, fingers crossed, that Reactivate hits those same feels. With everything that they've been posting and all the messages and all the updates, they do sound like they're genuinely like care and everything about the game. So let's hope.
I did see a message saying that Hasbro are open to remastering of Fall of Cybertron and War for Cybertron, but they need to get a developer to do it. I don't think they can get the original developers back, which was help me out.
High Moon Studios.
High Moon, yes, it was High Moon. I think they're gone now. So if you can get another developer to get in, then they got to get the files and then get the software and the hardware to do it all. Great, but there's a few stars to line up between now and there.
Then the problem is that they released them on they re-released them on one of the. I'm sure it was on the PS4, wasn't it? I got on PS4.
Yeah.
You were able to download it from whatever it's called.
Surely they can just put a bit of, whatever they use for the download code to make Xbox be able to play and make games backwards compatible. Why can't they just put them back in the store, even not remastered? And this is the problem with digital.
There's just like seemingly no appetite for it. And I've said this before, like when it comes to Transformer games, there's been good games, there's been bad ones, but they're so few and far between. You look at Transformer media, video games is just not high on Hasbro's agenda.
No. Game were giving away the is it the
yeah.
This
that's a
game. It was like spend 20 quid and get a copy of that or something.
Yeah,
it's like,
it away
that
free.
is not shifting. Please
No,
take our copies.
I've seen them
when
in
Game are
B&Ms.
giving things away for free.
I've seen them in B&Ms for like a tenner by the tills when you were going to pay. It's just,
that's not good, is it?
But I mean, my son had that game and he wasn't impressed with it. He said it wasn't much cop. I never really played on it much. I'm still stuck in my Fall of Cybertron ways, hoping for that to come back in the multiplayer game.
Which game's that, Andy? Sorry.
So you had War for Cybertron, which was around 2009, I think, and then they did the sequel, Fall of Cybertron, which kind of improved on War for Cybertron, which was already a good game. And Fall of Cybertron had this brilliant online multiplayer game when you could go in and you could choose your different bot types and you could customize your bot.
Oh, yeah. I played. What was the game that your son played?
Was it Battlegrounds? Or
something? The one.
Battlegrounds. Battlegrounds.
Oh,
that's the one that they're giving away.
Yeah,
I did play it. It was very one and done. And
is
I
that
didn't
the
get it for
Clash
free
of
either.
Clans-esque? It's like a Clash
it was like turn-based, wasn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah,
like a
it's like
thing.
You can move them to a position, and then they could attack. But it wasn't much. I mean, it was based on Cyberverse as well. But yeah, turn-based. I don't know. Bear with.
This is fire
1 second. Talk amongst yourself. It is a fire alarm. Talk amongst yourselves.
Right, now we get to see which figures he saves from the fire.
Yeah, what's he going to grab? Those Predacons will be going with him. He'll just have armfuls of them trying to run with them.
All these Beast War box sets and
yeah.
I never tried any of the movie games. I think the last Transformers game I actually sat and played through was probably Devastation, just for being a G1 kid. I think it's a crazy world we're in where we can be talking about whether or not Reactivate will actually see the light of day when we've had toys of it for the last 6 months.
Yeah. And the thing is, there's another game, isn't there, that they've already.
There's some sort of racing game because I think there's a racing scene in Transformers 1. I think.
Correct. Yeah.
So yeah, there's some sort of racing game coming out, but yeah, it's a bizarre situation when I think I've only got the Soundwave from Reactivate because I bought it off someone on Facebook. And I think I've got that figure and I like it. It's cool, but we don't know if we'll ever see the game. And there's toys of it. It
feels like Reactivate is like the memes of GTA 6, but we get GTA 6 before Reactivate.
It should be. Comment. I think they should be looking at doing. I can't believe we've never had to my knowledge, we've never had a one-on-one fighting game. Like I know there was the mobile one, but like a proper.
Yeah, the Forge to Fight. Yeah, that one.
Forge to Fight seemed to do quite well as well. It seems to be been quite a popular kind of mobile game. But you're right. If they did something for the consoles with the amount of characters that you've got and the possible moves and special attacks and stuff, that would be quite good fun, quite cool. He's not on fire! Hooray!
Well, despite my name, Arrow is not on fire. No, and it might go off again just to be. It's the block of flats that I live in, and someone's cooking something. And as soon as I open the door, I smelt it. I was like, "Oh, open a bloody window! Why'd you do it on my live stream when I literally just need 2 hours clear?" So it will go off again. Sorry. Thank you for holding down the fort.
Which Transformers would you have grabbed, Ian, if you had to? If it was on fire, we were debating which Transformer would you have grabbed and run out with.
That's a question I gave to Volks of Icon. I'll fish him out because he's here. Probably going to knock over half my collection.
You're going to surprise us now, aren't you?
No, I'm really not. Takara Beast Wars Dinobot Masterpiece. That comes with me. But I don't know. I'd like to take that massive Kang Toys Predator King, but I'd never get it out the door.
Well, I said you'd have armfuls of just Predacons as you were trying to desperately run out. With
get him in his shirt, like carrying them. Like.
I mean, have you seen down there?
Yeah, I couldn't get Kang Toys out the door. It's too big. But yeah, it would have to be, if all else fails, this guy comes with me. So I guess that leads to a fairly apt question. In the event of a fire, what are you grabbing? What is your save everything above all else?
Apart
I'm
from
going to put myself on mute if the bloody thing. Yeah, but no, the toy first, kids later.
Yeah. It would be something G1ish, probably my G1 Scorponok and Double Dealer, because they were the two toys when I was a kid that probably I had the most affection for. I've said before, I used to think when I was a kid that Double Dealer was a really rare and special Transformer, because I was the only one in my entire friendship group at school and all the kids at school. I was the only one who had Double Dealer, so I thought he was really special. And then as an adult collector, I found out that every man and his dog had one, apparently. So there you go. But yeah, I'd grab them just because they mean a lot. There's a lot I'd love to grab because they've got that emotional attachment. But you know, if you really put me on the spot, it would have to be those G1 bots. I think I can replace the other stuff. I'm not sure I can replace them.
That's true. Brandon, what about you, mate?
That is a fantastic question because I don't know, because some of the things I've got are really rare and I don't think I'd ever get again. But then there's, again, some pieces that I absolutely love. Probably got to be that 3-0 Optimus Prime. I know I've been going on about it quite a bit in this live stream, but again, it's probably one of my favourite pieces that I own in my collection, regardless of the stuff that I actually own. I don't know, honestly. That is honestly a great question, but it would probably be the 3-0 Optimus Prime.
A strong choice and fairly recent to your collection, so I get that. Phil, go on in. Of the many cabinets behind you, you got one, mate. Pick one.
Can I not have a handful? I think if
how big's your hand?
If you're talking ones which might be tricky to get again, maybe some of the animated figures like the Botcon, Cheetor, Sideswipe, Takara, Rodimus, they're just lovely and quite hard to get. If you think like, if you had to get rid of them all and just have one on your desk, it would either be the run out the house while it's on fire. It would either be the current Magic Square Lighter PCX Prime or the Fans Toys Robot Paradise Acoustic Wave, because characters I loved when they were a kid and they're sort of perfect form.
Yeah, it's good choices. I mean, we say this, and would that actually be one? But you have something in your collection that you just absolutely adore. And I could buy this guy again, but he was a lot of money when it came out, and he's even more now. So, I'd rather not go through that hell, if I'm honest. But yeah, things like, I don't know, my little G1 Razor Claw I've got standing on his own, which Bumble Jumper got me from TFN before last TFN, which actually comes on to the next point. TFN just before, just gone, and we're all there and had a very good time. I think it's fair to say. I personally think it's the best TFN that's been. But there is a mini-con coming up in November in Reading. Are you all going? I do understand I'm talking to the northern quarter of the Transformers community, so it's a bit of a journey.
All three of us.
All three of you are there. Is there any interest in going towards the mini-cons? And have you been to mini-cons before?
I'd love to. I'd love to go to the one I'd love to go to all of them because I've got a taste for it now. This was like my second big TFN, and Manchester Minicon was my first experience of any sort of Transformers convention. So I'd love to do that one, but I think in terms of the logistics of getting down to Reading from Newcastle, it's quite a trek. So I can't see myself making November. I'd like to think I'll try and go Manchester, but the priority is going to be big TFN again next year. But without going to Manchester, there's no way I would have actually made it to big TFN last year, because it was just the right experience to make me think, I want a bit more of this. I want to see what the big one's like. And excuse me, I think that the wonderful ideas and I love seeing them pop up. And then now there's one in Reading, it's lovely. But yeah, I think focus on the big one, try and get to Manchester because it's a bit halfway in between.
That's fair. Andy, what about you, mate?
I've been lucky enough to have been to, I think, all of the mini cons so far. Obviously, big TFNs, not all of them, but enough in recent years, and also TFUK Con, obviously, which is the other Transformers convention. And again, that's a really nice one, which will be happening again next year in May. And that's a really nice one with a really chilled atmosphere. Because it is a bit smaller, I think it'll be between 100 and 150 people next year. So it's a really nice one to go to. The Reading one, I am intending to go to. I may once again be helping out Primetime Toys and the great Primetime Moth to giving him a hand. It is, I totally get that for, like Phil was saying, it's just the traveling element. And, that's why they have the Manchester ones. So for when you are in the north of England, you do have one that's a bit closer. But I am hoping and planning to try and get to the Reading one as well. In fact, I was discussing it with the wife just earlier on today. So yeah, we've got a bit of a plan in place. Hopefully, that will allow us to be able to attend it. Because of course, got the kids, got the dog. It's not quite as simple as just disappear. But they are great, and even my wife, she enjoys going. She enjoys meeting up with some of the other wives and girlfriends and the atmosphere. And it is, the mini cons just are more relaxed. They're they are literally, they're a mini TFN, and you can just chill out a little bit more. And even so can the staff. I think you've been there, Ian, when Dave Wallace, who bless his heart tends to normally be legging it around TFN almost constantly.
He gets his steps up, doesn't he?
Oh, he certainly does. But at the minicon, the last one, particularly in Manchester, I remember he just kept coming and sitting down with us and just having a chat. And he was like, can't normally do this, so I'm going to enjoy it while I can. And I would recommend for anybody who has not been to anything, wants to go. I think Reading would be, especially if you're in the south, is a really good little gateway into what TFN's about, all of them. Just a bit of a smaller one. So yeah, I'm hopefully going to be there. Fingers crossed.
Nice. Brandon, what's your view, mate, for November?
It doesn't look like, unfortunately for this year, I will be attending Reading, just due to finances and again, travel. It's a long way away. I think it's like 3 hours from where I'm from. I'd absolutely love to attend it because I've attended 2 big TF Nations. Obviously, with me being old enough to drive, that's a big positive. Get your driving tests done. If you don't drive, that's definitely something you're recommend by a mile. But
right in the age,
I was just going to say, drive home that point that you're young, Brandon.
Not as old as the Premier League.
Honestly, like you said, you definitely need to go to these conventions because they're just brilliant. I mean, this year I attended my first UK con, and I absolutely loved it. And I agree what Andy says. It's a lot more like chilled out, and time absolutely flew. I had a blast, a laugh. It was just brilliant, really. I would love to attend Reading. It doesn't look like it, but if they do another one next year, more than likely we'll attend by a mile. Yeah.
And excellent. Sorry, we got Moth on screen there. Might be a 7-hour drive with stops. Primetime Toys will be there. We've also got a question from Simon, which might be good to answer. How do the mini-cons differ from the big TF Nations? Andy and Phil, maybe you can answer that. Is there a trader hall? There is a trader hall, but it is a bit more thin compared to big TFN, isn't it?
Yeah, saying that, mind. I think I bought more at the mini-con than I did last year at TFN because I went with a shopping list and I just spent a ridiculous amount of money in the first 10 minutes. I was like, oh God, what have I done? But
yeah, I think that happens.
For the first year at Manchester, the main difference was that with it all being in one room, there was less of a sort of, this is the panel area and this is the toy area. So I thought the panels were a bit easier to hear at big TFN, but it wasn't as hectic and there wasn't as much going on. as I said before, I thought it was the perfect way to, if anyone's on the fence, I think they should just go anywhere because it's such an amazing time. But it's such a great way to introduce yourself and to walk to the whole thing and to walk around and see these things in front of you, which like you normally order on the internet and then see for the first time when it turns up at the door. To be able to pick toys up and play with them there and then buy them is great. But yeah, it's just a bit smaller, a bit. I'm not going to say more relaxed because people were still rushing around trying to get bargains. But yeah, just like everything, but just dialed down a little bit. Yeah, a different sort of experience, but also a nice one and good to be surrounded by like-minded people.
I haven't done a mini con yet, so I am going to Reading in November, which is still about an hour and a half for me, hour 20. But I will be going by public transport this time. Means I can have a drink and socialise and enjoy myself. I could drive it as well, but being fairly in the centre of Reading could be a nightmare to park, so I can get a train. And Reading is quite a bit of a transport hub, so it's fairly easy. I've got about 3 ways to get there. So I am looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to just having that tide over because I enjoy TF Nation, big TF Nation so much that mini TF Nation might not have the grand stages, the big guests, the big panels, all the rest of it, but is enough to tide us over to, if there is going to be a mini con first half of the next calendar year. If they do Manchester again. And then UK con not long after that before we get round to big TFN again. So it's nice to have a little tide over because as we've all found out, you get the TF Nation blues. But I'm really looking forward to just seeing people again, all the people that I've met and chatting to people, which end up coming on my show, which is lovely as well. Very quickly, there was a question to yourself, Phil, from Sunstreaker Titan. I have the OG Magic Square Light of Freedom Prime. Is it worth upgrading to the newest Magic Square Masterpiece Prime? So that was version 1 and version 2, wasn't it?
Yeah, really, really worth it. The Magic Square, the first one, the Light of Freedom, compared to the newer one, is much more like blocky, like a toy, I suppose. Whereas the new one's a lot more posable, a lot more G1 cartoon accurate. I would say if you're going to get it, make sure you get the new EX version because that bit of die cast and paint makes a massive difference to the feel and of the figure. But yeah, I think the old one was good. I swapped that out for a version of MP44. I think it was just a KO of it, and then I ended up getting that Light of Peace, and it's so much better than the first one in articulation, in finish, in posability. That yes, you have to get it instead. It is so much better. But you know, I'm sure there's people who love the first one as well. And if you do, brilliant.
Well, I've got him just there actually, and he was going to be my prime, but then I got the KO MP44 just because it was a good price, and I keep him in robot mode, and I keep this prime in truck mode.
Which one? The original one or the new one?
Yeah, that's version 1. So I haven't upgraded because I quite like him. I just think he looks good in truck mode. I like that kind of pastel color, but I have heard good things.
He's a great figure. Too. It is a great figure. It's just if you're looking for like a G1 masterpiece one, the new Light of Peace ones, I think it's a stunning figure. I really do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, so I think we're going to get to the point we start wrapping it up for the evening. So I'm going to go around and give the floor to my co-hosts. We'll start off with yourself, Phil. Plastic Crack. Where can people find you, and what do you tend to do on the socials?
Yeah, so I tend to do toy photography. Sort of, I don't tend to use dioramas. I use plain white backgrounds. Let the toys center stage. Possibly inspired by like old catalog pictures I used to see. I don't know. I don't think too much about why I do these things. I like focusing on posing and photographing Transformers, mainly some Marvel and other stuff, but it's mostly Transformers. I'm on Twitter because I'll never call it X, Blue Sky, Threads, Facebook, Instagram, and in the future I might even make a second YouTube video, although it's highly unlikely.
Exclusive drops. You were so proud when you did the first one. I remember you messaged
I
me.
was. I really was. I'll do another end of year, but then I think at the end of the year it'll probably be best figures I picked up this year because, like I said, I've been picking up weirder, older stuff instead of the new releases. But yeah, find us across all the things. Plastic Craic, if you like, sort of super clean toy photography of robots. Then yeah, always
And
love
if you like to be-
Transformers as well.
If you like to be enabled to buy other Transformers, he's your man.
Oh,
Thanks,
I'm dead good
Phil.
at that.
Oh, you are. Yeah, Andy, where can people find you and what do you get up to on a Friday night, sir?
So, I mean, that's none of your business, and I'll thank you not to ask. But what I do is I may be part of a channel called Transformers the Show that some people may have heard of, and we do a live stream similar to this, Ian, but with less sense to it and more chaos, generally speaking.
But same amount of Farrelly.
Yeah, more probably, if we're being honest. Just
Yeah.
he's always there. But yeah, we do that for a couple of hours every Friday night to keep people entertained, and have done since 2020. Right at the start of 2020, because we weren't one of those COVID podcasts that started when everybody was stuck at home. We would always become. No offense to anyone who did.
Yeah. You see that logo in the top corner? That's mine, mate.
I like to think we inspired certain individuals. But yeah, so we do that every Friday at 8 p.m. And there's myself, Jamie, and Paul, and Pete, and we have so many guests and other people who come on the show. Yeah, we do that every Friday. And then we also have a Facebook group for Transformers the Show. We have a Twitter account for Transformers Show, which you'll see a lot of Jamie's photography, just a lot of photography. And I know he's a fan of yours, Phil. He is. Although if he was here now, he'd be saying the same thing about you, mate. So
he would.
And you,
rightly so.
yeah, and you know. And,
no, I'm not. I just do it for lols.
Oh, don't play yourself down. And me personally, you'll find me. Well, you're supposed to be able to find me with Crankcase 79, but you might need to look for me with Ride Andrew if that doesn't work. I'm also on Instagram, but I don't really post that much on Instagram. I'm not a big fan. And yes, it is Twitter, Phil. You are 100% correct. It's not X. I don't give a damn what Elon Musk says. I hope he's watching. He heard that. But yeah, you'll find us across social media.
He's not.
So. He's probably
Elon Musk. Elon Musk will not watch my channel, and I'm okay with that.
How did you offend him? No, but if the Transformers Show Facebook group is a good place to come and find us, and it's another nice, chill Transformers group where you can share, what you're interested in with Transformers, and often stuff that isn't Transformers. But yeah, that's what I do.
Lovely. Brandon, where can we find you? What have you up to? What exclusives have you got coming up, or big stuff that you got planned for the channel? Anything you can drop for us?
I'm glad you asked that because, yeah, there is. Obviously, I have my own YouTube channel called Bayverse of Madness, that's my name here. I specialise in the movies. I am a massive fan of the Bayverse in particular. There are some massive things in the works that I've been tirelessly working on, and some mind-blowingly massive things that I'm not going to mention too much, but yeah, I'm definitely going to blow people's minds with what things I've got planned coming in a couple of months' time. So that's something to get excited for. So yeah, in terms of obviously if people like the movies, yeah, please head over. And in terms of Instagram, I am on Instagram as Bayverse of Madness. Even though I don't really use that, I will attempt to try and use that as my main social media platform for people who like to drop a follow. So yeah.
Okay, cool. I know, and I follow all of you gentlemen. I keep up with your work. You all do really good work, and I'm very glad to have all three of you join me this evening. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you
all for watching. It's been great having you with me. Thank you, Paul, for the money and questions. We'll go into that. Sorry about the fire alarm going off there, but thanks for watching. And as always, I will see you on the next one. Bye.